Alright, so this is going to be a guide on how to use the Hellhades gear optimizer and team suggestion. So if you have a laptop or PC, download Player and Play, and then open it. Then you can go to Hellhades website, create an account for free, and then log in and go to the optimizer, which is this page, and then you can do the download installer. Then on your desktop, you'll get this. Just go ahead and open that, and you have to have RAID running. It'll load, hit upload to website. That is going to take you back to the same page that we just saw, which is this page. And from there, you can go to the champions and team optimizer. So I'm going to show like an example of getting the speed tune for my unkillable. I run the Myth Seeker, which is Haikatune, Demi, Seeker, and it says 2 DPS, but I run it with the Ninja and Brogni version, but with uh, Tatura instead of Brogni, and I run it at higher speed. If you if you click on if you find one that you have the champs on, you can click on Ultra Nightmare, this one, if you're wanting to do that, and that'll take you to this page, which shows you what speeds you need. So this is the one that I use right here. So um, her A3 is block debuff. So if you look through, this shows all the turns with all your champions that you have. You input their speeds, and then this is kind of a breakdown of what's going to happen. So Demi's in a 3-to-1 ratio, speed ratio, so she goes 3 turns, 1, 2, 3 for every clan boss turn, which means at 295 speed, she's placing her, or not block debuff, sorry, block damage. So right before the clan boss goes, she is always placing block damage. That way your champions are never taking any damage. And then Tatura places his block debuffs for 2 turns. That way there's no stun target. Well, there is a stun target, but it never takes a stun because it always has um, block debuffs on. So this is a good way to know, like, I need Demitha at 295, and you can actually play with it. And if I go up 1, nothing happens, which means she can actually be 296, 297. So you want to look in here and see if anything changes. 298, 299. So 300 is, see how it just shifted. So now it's broken, so the speed comp won't work there. So we'll go back to 295. 294 it changes. So she has to be at least 295 block damage, block damage, block damage up to, what was it, 299? Yeah. So we know that she can be between 295 and 299, and you can kind of do that with all your champions to see. So I have Ninja at 256, which is pretty high for speed. Kind of takes down a lot of the damage that he could do if he was in a slower speed tune. So you can take this information and you can go over to the optimizer, and then you can plug in each of their speeds, or you can go to Team Optimizer. I was doing something with Doom Tower. Go to Clan Boss, Ultra Nightmare, and hit Suggest Team. And then I always recommend going boss damage. And then this will show you the highest damage that someone's gotten with your champs. You can go down here and do 6-star send only, and that will show you only champions that you have 6-starred and ascended all the way. So if you don't want to like build another champion, so if I do that, um, not much has changed because most of those are. And then you can also do exclude manual team. But the nice thing about this is like, so let me find my speed comp that I'm running right now. Give me a second. This is pretty much the same thing with Dracomorph instead. So see, 297. Oh no, that's not the same because it has Apothecary. I think mine's pretty far down here, unfortunately. I might have missed it. But anyway, so we'll just say like, so if I wanted to run this, I can go view variations. So now with the free version, this is as far as you can get. You can see that Draco's at 215 speed. She's at 319. So you can view that. If you pay for the like lowest tier subscription per month for Hellhades Gaming, which I do, you can go to view full details, and this will give you. So this person got 104 mil per one key. It took 15 minutes 23 seconds, and it'll give you the full breakdown of their stats. So you could literally copy this if you have the gear, like stat for stat. Like I could put 30k health, 5.7 all the way down. It shows you their masteries, and then it also shows you how they have it set up in the AI. So, for example, Demi, you have her A2 in the AI set as second priority and A3 set as first, which is pretty standard. And then for Ninja, you have his A2 as first priority, but he starts with A3. And then Seeker, his starter is A1. And then, so you can put that in the AI, and since I have manual teams turned off, if you copy this, it's um, fully auto from the very beginning of the fight. So then you can take this information and you can copy it to the optimizer. I don't like doing team building. I just like doing, so I'll take, I like doing one by one. So I'll go to champions, and since Demi, let's see, Demi is, get rid of that, and get rid of that. Demi is the fastest. I want to build her first. So she needs 295 speed. I'm not really looking for her to do much damage, so I just want her to do 295. So if they're not level 60, if you don't have them 6-star or fully ascended, there'll be an option right here that says like optimize as if they were. So that way, like if they're level 5-star, you can hit that button and then it'll put like a banner on her and show you what it would be if she was 6-starred. Also, max primary artifact bonus. That means if it's looking at like a pair of boots that were level 8, it's not going to be 45 speed, but it'll optimize it as if it was level 16 and it would be 45. That way you know what stats you'll get if everything is 16. So then we can go over here to optimize artifacts, start. So this will include equipped artifacts on different champions, and then this will include locked artifacts. So you can lock any of your champions. So right now I have all these locked, which are like my Arbiter for Arena, my 5 for Clan Boss, and my Bellower, who's my campaign farmer. I don't want to take any gear off those champs when I'm looking at other gear, but for right now, building, I kind of do. So if I go back to Demi, optimize artifacts, I'll just tell it to include locked artifacts. It'll automatically put in your masteries if you have masteries on that champion. If not, you can select these boxes. So like if you're doing a damage champion, you can put in you're gonna do deadly precision, keen strike, and whatever else, because you know those are the ones you will do eventually. And then if you have a good GPU in your computer, you can run the GPU optimizer. If not, you want to do this one. I do have a GPU. I have like a 1070 Ti, I think, in my laptop, so I'm fine with running this. This is pretty much, it's presets. You'll never really use those unless you're using the brute force one. So then this, you can tell it you're either fighting a boss or a champion. I don't think you have to worry about this too much. That's the defense of Clan Boss Ultra Nightmare. His health I don't have put in there correctly. So now you can either do a balanced optimization, which it'll just kind of balance survivability and damage, or you can tell it damage or survivability. Since it's Clan Boss, I am going to go do damage because I want to get as much damage per key. Then you can tune it for their different skills. I'm just going to go highest overall because she's only attacking with her A1. Her A2 and A3 don't do damage. You can do an aura, but it doesn't really matter right now. And then you can also select what buff she's always going to have. So say you had like Farrakhan the Fat, who puts a 30% increase crit damage and crit rate, I believe. You can do crit damage and crit rate. That way, if that buff is up all the time, you only need to get your champion's crit rate to 70% instead of 100%. So that'll tell the optimizer, okay, he's going to have 30% or she's going to have 30% crit rate on her a buff all the time, so only do 70%. But we'll just leave that off because I don't have any of those champions in my clan boss. So then you go net. Oh, and you can do the same thing for debuffs. So debuffs that'll always be on whoever you're fighting. In this case, the demon lord. Then you go to next. So this is kind of where it gets confusing. That's usually unchecked. So since I chose a damage build, it's always going to look to get 100% crit rate, which is what you want for damage dealers. But in the case that you don't have enough gear or whatever, you can hit override and tell it let's do 90 instead, you know. But then so we need a minimum of 256 speed. It can be higher, but it can't go higher than 299. So I'm just gonna, for the sake of it, I'm just gonna do 256 only. And since it's an unkillable block damage, doesn't matter how much health she has. Um, you can leave attack, or if it's a defense-based champion, defense empty and crit damage empty, because it's going to, since we're doing a damage build, it's going to look at your gear and automatically say, okay, I'm going to put as much gear on there to do damage. So you don't, unless you want like a minimum of 4,000 attack, but I usually leave them empty because it's going to do its best. And then if she was going to land a debuff, so say she had like decreased defense, you know, you want at least 250 accuracy, but for her, she doesn't put any debuffs. So literally this is all I need for her. 256 speed, and then I'll let it, since it's doing a damage build, find out the most attack and the most crit damage with 100% crit rate. So then you hit optimize. The search limiter, I always put it at 100 because I have a good GPU. Hellhades always leaves his at 50. All that does is like it's gonna take longer to look and come up with more results. I don't mind that, so I have mine at 100, and this is just giving you like a breakdown of what you've inputted so far. So then I'll hit start, and it's gonna come back with as many builds as it can find of all of that. So the nice thing is like, so 256 speed is all throughout this, which is what I set it to be. And then these are all different. And if you look at them, it shows you what piece you'll want to put on her. Like this is equipped to High Katoon currently. High Katoon, so if it's empty, that means it's not equipped, but all these pieces are equipped right now. So like I could look at that, and then I can go skills. And right now, she does 12,736 damage with the artifact she has equipped on her right now. So if I go to skills, which I think you have to pay to view this also. So with this build over here, she's going to get 11,000 more damage per attack. So I could switch to that if I wanted to. And you can kind of just go through down. So it'll sort them with the most damage because that's what I told it to. So then you can look at this. You can go back into raid and then equip those pieces on her. And in this case, they're all level 16. So I wouldn't have any upgrading to do. If the boots was level 12, when I equip this, she's not going to be at 256 because I need to roll that up to 16, and then she will be 256. One thing to look at when you're doing like an unkillable, if you, so say her, let's see, so say her attack weapon was level 12. It does have a speed roll on it. So right now with all this equipped, she'll be at 256. If you roll up to 16, you do have a chance of rolling into speed, which will increase it from 256 to whatever that would increase it by. So you do have to kind of watch out for that because you'll end up with higher than what you aim for. So that kind of build's pretty easy. We'll go back and we'll do a ninja build because since he is a damage dealer, this one it'll be a little different, I guess. Kind of walk through the same thing, you know. Make sure damage highest overall, or I'll switch it to Hellburn because that does the most. It's his attack that does the most damage. So with him, I need between 250 and 256. I want him to have at least 250 accuracy. I think I have. So there's also sets. So this will tell the optimizer I want him in. Well, I'm trying to get him in Relentless right now so he can counterattack. So this will say he needs to have one set of Relentless, and then you can tell it what the other speed is. You really only use this is if you have a ton of gear. Like I'm not really to the point yet where I use this too often. I kind of just use the best pieces scattered around through different sets. It's kind of end game where you can kind of like pick and choose what sets you want and not sacrifice that much damage. So this is a good example. So I'll say I want one relentless set, and I need at least 250, or no, so I think it's 250. So what'll happen is if I say 256, because he needs a minimum of 256. If I go down at all, it breaks it. So, but he can go up pretty high, I believe. Something's changed in there, but it didn't break it. So he needs at least 256. And if I go and I tell it that with 250 accuracy, it's not going to find anything because I don't have the gear to do that. So now what I can do is I can go and I can say, okay, well, let's see if he can hit 250 at least with 250 accuracy. And that's going to come back. Oh, okay, so now I can. So I couldn't yesterday, which means I upgraded some gear. So he can get to 252 speed with 267 accuracy. And, so this is 108 crit rate, which is a little high, but it's still better than less than 100. 140 damage and 3.3k attack. And I can look at this because he has to be at 256, right? Right now he's at 252. Well, I can look at this and I can say, well, that speed glyph, I can probably get it up to 4 today if I wanted to. So there's another 1. There's another 1. I can get that up to 4. That's 2. I don't have any 5 or 6 stars, so I wouldn't be able to get it past 4. That doesn't have a speed roll. There's another 1. That doesn't have a speed roll because it's speed boots. That's +2, so I could get another 2 there. So if I wanted to, I could make it work by glyphing, but if I just use the artifacts as is, I wouldn't be able to. So if I just go back and say, okay, well, I can't put him in Relentless right now, then I'll just put it to any stats. I'll go back to 256, optimize it again, and this is going to say, this is the most damage he's able to do right now. So I could actually rework him a little bit, but some of it's going to pull gear from other champions that are in my clan boss, so I don't want it to do that. So if I don't want it to do that, uncheck that. So now it won't look at any of my locked champions. I can stop it and restart it. And we'll see what it comes back with. So like this, I could change. Oh, I switched his banner out for Doom Tower real fast a couple minutes ago. So because that has a 17% attack, it's telling me I should do that to get a little more attack, which I did have that on him previously. So that's how to do a damage build. If you're not doing a damage build, this is where it gets a little different. So say I want to build, we'll go Vizix. She's a good example. I'm not really going to build her for damage. So I'll do the same thing. I'm not going to check that. We're going to go survivability or balanced. We'll just go balanced. I want to do a little bit of damage, but I also want her to stay alive. It's going to look a little different. You now have these. So this is where you start filling in more because it's not unkillable. So she's going to need defense. I'm just using her in general dungeons and whatnot. So I'm going to tell it that I want her to have at least 35k health. Her attack, I believe, doesn't matter because she is a defense-based champion. Her damage comes from defense, so I don't care about that. We'll get rid of speed because she doesn't have a speed requirement. So I want her to have 100% crit rate because I do want her crit proccing through the whole thing. 250 accuracy is a little high for some stuff. That's usually for clan boss. We'll just say 200 accuracy. So here, okay, so far, 35k health, 100% crit rate, 200 accuracy. So we do want damage, but I'm not going to tell it a number because I don't know what my gear actually, like what I have. Like I could put 5,000 in there, but I don't know if I have the gear for that. So what you can do is you can do the importance bar. So what it's going to do is if I put this to like 1 or 2, you can go all the way up to 16, but Hell Hades says that doesn't really, unless you have a ton of gear, just use like 1 through 4. So that's what I usually do. So if I put it up to 4, because she's defense based, so that's pretty high priority, what it's going to do is it's going to make sure it gets 35k health. It's going to make sure it gets 100 crit rate. It's going to make sure it gets 200 accuracy. And then it's going to put as much defense on her as it can. If I really want her doing more damage, I can do this too. And put that up to 4. So now it's going to evenly split looking for defense and crit damage. And then I'm like, okay, but maybe I want a little bit, I'm putting her in Doom Tower, so I want a little bit of, not a ton, but a little bit of resistance also. So now it'll look for these two first, and then a little less priority, it'll look for resistance. So it's doing a lot of different stuff. So then I can hit optimize. I'm not sure if it's going to return a build or not. I don't know if I have the gear for this. We'll find out. Okay, so it found some, which is cool. Um, so see, my defense isn't high, which means she's not going to have a ton of damage because, oh, it's getting up there now, I guess. So yeah, so this is just going to return all the builds with what I told it I wanted it to do. The speed isn't high. You know, you don't want to rock 155 speed on mini champions unless you're early game. So I could come back and I could say, okay, 155 speed is too low. I want at least 190. So now it'll get 190 speed for sure. Actually, let's do an example. I could tell it 4 on speed if I don't have like a set number that I want it to do. So now it'll look and try and find some speed also. So now we're up to 200 speed, which is going to take away a little bit from defense. It's going to take a little bit away from everything. I think these were in the 200s before. You do want accuracy on her, of course. So yeah, that's just a good way to navigate, gearing your champions, especially for for like an unkillable who like the speeds they need to be exact. A lot of people use the team optimizer. I've never been a huge fan. So, but what you can do with, so if I suggest team and I go boss damage, and I'm like, okay, I want to run this comp, right? So I copy to optimizer, and what it's going to do is it's going to input them for you, and then you can one by one change their stats. So all it's going to copy is their speed and their accuracy. Unfortunately, it doesn't copy all the stats, but then I could go back and enter them in if I wanted to, the same. So for that comp he was running, the Dracomorph was at 215 speed, the Demi Champion 2 stats was at 319 speed. So this is just a way to copy the speeds exactly and get that speed tune working like for sure. And then of course you can add in other stuff if you want, like attack and whatnot. I don't really use this because it's kind of hard. If I hit optimize, oh, okay, so one thing it'll say, if that pops up, you have to put the slider for like at least one champion, or one slider for every champion, which is kind of annoying, so I'll just do attack since it's clan boss. I'll just put the slider up on everybody for one stat. This is another reason why I kind of don't like using it. Okay, so now it'll start optimizing, and search limiter again, I usually put it all the way up. Gives you a warning, it's going to take a lot longer. So this is priority. So priority wise, she needs 300 something speed, so I would put her first. I don't have the gear to get her in that, so this is going to fail, but it's going to show you kind of how it works. So I'd hit start. So it's going to fail, but not all of them are going to fail. Only her build will fail. If the other champions can do it, it'll still return that for them. So one or more builds failed. So leader is Dracomorph. I can get him in those stats that I put. You'll see a star. So that means Demi failed because I can't get her to 300 something, and Eris failed because I don't have her maxed. Now at 60 she can have a banner, which probably will help her speed some. But yeah, so then you could go back and you could tweak. Champion 2 failed, so I could go to stats and I could modify these around. I like just building champions one by one. It's just kind of how I learned before the team optimizer. I was using it before the team optimizer came out. It just seems better to me because then I can prioritize which champion I want to do first. Let's see if there's anything else. You can look at artifacts and stuff and it rates them. I've found, so if I go here and just, let's see, reset all of these. So it's going to show me all of my artifacts, and I can sort it by I can sort like bin. So these are like, this is what they would say are trash artifacts, and then bin means like recycle, just get rid of them, sell them, all the way up to like godlike. I used to use this, but what I have found is it really likes resistant pieces because endgame resistance is huge. Like if you're an end game player, having resistance on your champions is like a must. And I know you can change in your account settings what part of the game you're in, and maybe that'll change it. I've never done that, but I don't really use the artifact rating just because, like, it says all these pieces are godlike, and if you look at them, almost all of them, have resistant rolls. And at my part of the game, I don't need that. I'm not pushing Doom Tower hard. I'm not pushing Platin Arena, so I just don't need resistance usually on my pieces. Like, I don't need 500 resistance, 400 resistance. So take this with a grain of salt because you could end up selling a lot of pieces that are actually good for where you're at in the game. Because, like, if I go to very strong, like, this is going to be a better piece for me right now than a piece with higher resistance, but this is showing me that, this is only very strong and that other piece was godlike, but in my eyes, this piece is better for me right now. I think that's about it. Hopefully this helped some people. If not, that's okay. If you have any questions, just hit us up in the Discord. I know that Fezra and Nail both know how to use this really well. I think we have some newer guys in the clan that also know how to use it. I'm gonna create a channel for like RSL Helper and Raid or Hellhate's Optimizer in our Discord channel for like help. So if you have any questions about how to use it, just type it in there and we'll get back to you.